Hello and welcome. Let's begin with the war in Ukraine. Reports of African citizens being forced to serve on the front line keep surfacing every now and then. This time, Kenya has reacted to these reports. Nairobi has opened a probe into reports of Kenyans being trafficked to Russia and forced to fight against Ukrainian soldiers. Reportedly, they are now being held as prisoners of war in Ukraine. Kenya's Principal Secretary for Foreign Affairs has addressed the media reports. In a social media post, he said that Nairobi is working through its embassy in Moscow to verify the claims and to gather more information. Now, what led to the launch of this probe is the case of a Kenyan athlete named Evans Kibet. In a video released by the Ukrainian army, Kibet alleged that he traveled to Russia as a tourist. He said that when his visa expired, he was offered help and a job. Allegedly, he was then asked to sign some papers written in Russian, and Kibet then said that after he signed the papers, his phone and passport were taken away. Allegedly, Kibet was pushed into a military camp where he was trained how to handle an automatic rifle. The Kenyan athlete said that he was threatened to fight, and reportedly when Kibet was sent on his first mission, he fled into the forest and then surrendered himself to the Ukrainian forces. In a video released by the Ukrainian forces, Kibet pleaded not to be returned to Russia. Kibet's case has raised concerns about forced recruitment of African nationals in global conflict zones. African governments have also been warning their citizens to not fall prey to deceptive recruitment postings. Last month, South Africa's government launched an investigation into controversial Russian job schemes that were allegedly pushing young women into the Ukraine war. Now, the scheme named Alabuga, it was a START program, targeted women aged 18 to 22. It was promoted by South African influencers. The job ads were catchy. They promised jobs in Russia's Tatarstan region, including flights, housing, and language classes. However, media reports had a different story to tell. Now, reportedly, some of these women were forced to work in a Russian drone factory. There have also been reports of Kenyan women being trapped in such Russian drone manufacturing factories. High unemployment rates and the desperation to live a better life make young Africans highly vulnerable to such job traps. And before they know it, their dreams come crashing down to the floor and they find themselves in the middle of a conflict they never signed up to be a part of. Now, for more on this, we have with us Narima Wako, who is Executive Director at Siasa Place and a political analyst who is joining us live from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Narima, what do we know about the networks or the mechanisms through which the Kenyan citizens could be lured or trafficked into Russia's military? And how widespread could this problem be across Africa?
So we've heard about Evans Kibet, and he's basically been tricked into signing a military contract in Russia. So this mirrors other reports, around Africa. You've shared about South Africa as well, where young people are lured with work, study, or sports visas. And once in Russia, they are coerced into the military or war industry roles. So we've seen these same tactics also used on Cubans and even African students offered so-called training programs. So while Kenya's inquiry begins with one man's story, that's Evan's story, there's still a large, broader pattern and a network that is targeting vulnerable Africans, considering that our countries have high unemployment rates. Kenya at the moment is at 68% unemployed, and the average age is 19. So you can imagine the number of people looking for opportunity.
Right. And how might this inquiry affect Kenya's diplomatic relations with Russia and Ukraine, and what legal avenues are available for Nairobi to protect its citizens and to hold the traffickers accountable?
So we have to engage both Moscow and Kyiv while using our anti-trafficking laws to hold recruiters accountable. On the diplomatic side, Kenya has to press Moscow for answers on how these recruitments happen, while also working with Kyiv to ensure any Kenyans captured, because it's also reported on both sides in the war, are treated humanely and returned
Yes.
safely. Legally, Kenya isn't powerless. Our Counter Trafficking in Persons Act basically allows us to prosecute traffickers even when the crime takes place abroad. And our mutual legal assistance framework also means that we can request and demand for evidence in cooperation from other states. So this is about sending a clear message. Kenya will protect its citizens and punish anyone profiting from trafficking.
Yes. And could this case signal a larger trend of vulnerable Africans who are being targeted, you did allude to this, for this kind of recruitment in global conflicts? And what measures should African governments put in place to safeguard their nationals abroad?
Absolutely. I believe that Kibet's case is not just Kenya's story. It's a warning sign. Africans are being targeted, and governments must get ahead with stronger protections and regional coordination, because this case
Yes.
points to a dangerous trend. If Africans are increasingly being targeted as expendable labor in global conflicts, whether on the battlefield or in war-related industries, to protect citizens, governments do need to have five things in order. They have to issue clear travel warnings and monitor online job scams, tighten visa and recruiter licensing, set up hotlines and rapid repatriation funds, especially for those who find themselves in this situation, and share intelligence regionally through the AU or for us, the East African community, and prosecute not just to the last recruiter, but the entire trafficking chain. So it exists, and we now know this. So if one Kenyan can be lured, that means that thousands across the continent are being lured, currently in that position right now. So the time to act is now.
Right. Narima, thank you for being with us on Firstpost Africa.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka-charge mo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Skali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.